What's up everybody, welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Nathaning, and in this video, I'll be running you guys through the changes coming up on patch 11.15. As promised, we're here to bring you guys the full set of changes coming up next patch. A quick disclaimer, these changes are almost always accurate, but a couple do get tweaked or pulled, so don't be surprised by the final product. So hit that sub button and let's hop right into the video. First things first, we'll be talking about the new skins coming next patch. The lovely skins are something many of us look forward to, and I highly doubt they'll disappoint. We have Ruin Misfortune, Unbound Thresh, and 3 Sentinel skins, Graves, Pike, and Rengar. As the league's lore continues to develop, we have new champions joining the 2 major factions. These skins look great, so check them out, but admittedly they're on the pricier side. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about balance. We have one item change coming up, and that's the Hullbreaker. I like the item, it definitely feels like an upgrade from Sanguine Blade, at least when you're committed to split pushing. The item is underperforming a little bit too much and is receiving a buff next patch. The resistances are going up from 25 to 45 to 25 to 60. It's a solid buff that will help out significantly. In the late game, that's 15% more effective health against both primary sources of damage. Next, let's talk about champion balance. Starting off with the top lane, let's talk about Gwen, one of the most popular top laners in the game. Following a slower start upon release, Gwen gradually gained popularity as players began to optimize her. After a nice buff to Riftmaker, she popped off and has held a ridiculous ban rate for every patch ever since. For the past 3, for example, it exceeded 35% in high elo. She has a solid kit, with her W providing some incredible situational utility. For her basic ability, it's quite powerful, and the number of situations where it's useless are almost non-existent. Combined with her mobility and her ridiculous late game damage output, it's no surprise that players are down to play her, especially given the starvation of magic damage up in the top lane. Next patch, her E's attack speed bonus is going down from 40 to 80% to 20 to 80%. Quinn is a rather new champion, and I'm sure that she can be equally confusing to play as to play against. In other cases, we have coaches on ProGuides.com that can help teach you how to play as or against any character. Hit them up, and I'm sure they'd love to help you. And if you're trying to learn more about some crucial macro concepts, we also have some amazing courses from Core JJ, Afromoo, and so much more. Another champion that's been nerfed is Irelia. Oh boy, better nerf Irelia, right? Am I a boomer for knowing that meme? They just gave her some insane buffs and she's popping off a little bit too much right now. Her ridiculous teamfight mobility as well as kill pressure in lane means that if she ever does get fed, you're in for a world of hurt. After the changes, she shot up in popularity, taking the spot as the second most popular top laner in high elo. Her win rates and ban rates also skyrocketed, and she's currently banned in almost 25% of the games up there. High elo players aren't the only ones finding success with Irelia, however. She also found herself with a 52% win rate overall, a drastic increase from 11.13 where she had a sub 47% win rate. Needless to say, the buffs were overkill this patch. Next patch, her WAD ratio is going down from 50% to 40%, physical damage reduction down from 40 to 80 to 40 to 70%, and magic damage reduction from 20 to 40% to 20 to 35%. One more nerf is for Wukong. He's held an impressive top lane win rate for quite some time now and also claimed a spot as king for a brief period following a buff to Divine Sunderer. He was nerfed afterwards, but Riot is planning on hitting him so much more next patch. His HP regen per 5 is going down from 4 to 2.5. I guess it's not a big nerf, but it definitely adds up in an extended laning phase. I just mentioned how top lane has a shortage of AP damage, and Riot's response is to buff those champions who haven't been finding success this season. Kennen is up for a huge buff next patch. His Q's damage is going up from 75 to 235 plus 75% AP to 85 to 265 plus 80% AP. Mordekaiser is also receiving a nice buff. He has had his ups and downs, but the meta doesn't really suit him very well at the moment. Too many fighters can easily outduel him, and to help him tough it out, his W's cooldown is being reduced from 14 to 10 to 12 to 8, and the damage stored up from 35% to 45%. Much more durable than before, Mordekaiser should have a much more easier time taking fights head first. Finally, we have Rumble. The changes aren't really based on numbers, but instead he's receiving bug fixes and his passive heats decay and overheat checks should be more consistent. That will cover our top lane changes, so let's hop into the jungle next. First up, we have Viego. After some solo lane nerfs paired with quality of life buffs, Viego has come out far too strong as a jungler. His ban rate has also climbed immensely and he's currently up around 38% in high elo. This number goes up to around 47% in elite levels of play. There's no doubt that top level players think that he's broken. If he's not broken, really frustrating to play against. Viego is a resourceless jungler, meaning passing off blue buffs is no problem. Good news for mid laners who play with him. On top of this, he deals a considerable amount of damage with or without his ultimate. His passive's recent mechanic also makes him a snowbally menace in midst of chaotic teamfights. Next patch, he's receiving a major nerf that hits him everywhere. His Q base damage is going down from 25 to 85 to 15 to 75, but his bonus magic damage from monsters is going up from 10 to 20. The big nerf, however, is that his healing from minions is going down from 50% to 10%. It's looking like the jungle meta is gonna get even more aggressive than before since Nidalee is getting a buff. Anytime this happens, she typically pops off in high elo as players love taking every intra space that they can. Nidalee's base HP is going up from 545 to 570, and her HP per level is going up by 10. That is actually a big buff, especially in the early game where a single auto attack can go ahead and determine the fight. Shyvana has continued to underperform, especially in high elo and elite levels of play. Her overall win rate is actually around 50%, but the fact that she fares so poorly as the skill level rises means that she's on the weaker side. Her Q's cooldown is being reduced from 9 to 5 to 7 to 5, and the AP ratio being increased from 25 and 15% to 35 and 25%. That's a 20% buff as well as a major cooldown reduction. The cooldown reduction will significantly increase Shyvana's clear speed. Dr. Muno was expected to receive changes, but unfortunately Riot is still working on them, so we'll have to see them in the following patch. They'll be covering the jungle, so we have the mid lane next. Has anybody been abusing Annie? I guess that sentence sounds horrible if we're not talking about it in the context of League. She's a super underplayed champion with over a 52% win rate for pretty much the entire season. Well, if you are or you want to, you might want to spam her as much as possible before the next patch. Her Q is receiving a minor nerf. The AP ratio is going down from 80% to 75%. While it may seem like a small nerf, it's a short cooldown ability and it'll definitely make a difference in many different situations. This next one is quite disappointing. Aurelian Soul is getting nerfed as well. While this may come to surprise and a disappointment, Riot Jack has explicitly mentioned that his win rate in elite levels of play for the last two patches were both above 57%. Even if the player base can't mimic these results, there's no doubt that he's too strong at the top level. Even if it's just like one guy or gal playing him, his ease flight distance is being reduced from 5,500 to 7,500 to just 5,000 flat, meaning his ability to roam is taking a huge and massive hit. Next up, we have a nerf for Kale. While she's doing well in top lane, she's doing a little bit too well in the mid lane. We can't have that. The next patch she's getting nerfed. Kale has been scaling up too reliably, especially in the mid lane where she's much closer to her turret. Running teleport as well as some defensive secondary runes also makes it much more difficult to shut down Kale. If she manages to stay even, she'll naturally outscale many of her opponents and can reliably carry games with her high damage output as well as impactful ultimate. Kale's magic resistance is going down from 30 to 26, making her much more vulnerable to the mid lane opponents. Sylas has been one of the best mid laners for quite a few patches now. The fact that Everfrost's price was reduced helps solidify his place as the most popular mid laner in high elo. While he probably wouldn't be the most popular if his ban rate was comparable to champions like Zed, it's still pretty high, and from a statistical standpoint, he's definitely a power pick. He has pretty good wave clear as well as excellent damage in teamfighting. Everfrost makes him a much more reliable and consistent pick as well. It sets him up and it's a little bit too free sometimes. While whether he's making a quick pick on an out of position enemy or stealing a major ultimate from an enemy, Sylas feels a little bit too powerful right now. His Q's damage is going up from 60 to 280 plus 80% AP to 70 to 90 plus 290% AP. Okay, well, that kind of sounds like a buff, but while the damage is going up, his W healing is going down from 30 to 150 plus 45% AP to 25 to 125 plus 40% AP. This doesn't really feel like a big nerf by any means. Cassiopeia is next, and she's up for a buff. She's currently an average pick. Even after her mythic item received a cost reduction, she didn't seem like she got that much of an increase in her win rate. Next patch, her E is receiving a solid buff. The damage is going up from 10 to 90 to 20 to 100. This is a gigantic buff at level 2, especially since her E's damage has been doubled. While her mana pool is small that early on to the game, the power spike is something that players will have to respect. I am happy for all the Syndra mains out there. She's been dying, literally dying, so many times on Summoner's Rift because she's been really weak. Finally a buff for a champion who's needed one. Her Q's mana cost is going down from 60 to 80 to 40 to 80. It's not a huge buff, but you know, it's something. That covers the extensive number of mid lane changes, and we only have a few left moving to the bottom lane. The first is for Caitlyn. I can already hear a bunch of bot lane mains groaning after hearing this one. Her Q's AD ratio is going up from 130 to 170% to 130 to 190%. Personally, I do like this approach. Once again, Riot is targeting Caitlyn's mid to late game instead of her early game dominance. This change shouldn't push champions out of the meta like the previous Caitlyn buffs had. Xayah received an acceptable buff to her Q previously, but obviously it wasn't enough. So this time she received yet another one. Zaya's ultimate cooldown is going down from 160 to 130 to 140 to 100. That is a pretty big buff in the late game, as she'll be able to have it ready almost every single teamfight moving forward. That'll be wrapping up the bottom lane, so let's go ahead and conclude with support changes. Maybe this patch will be the end of an era. Just kidding, everybody loves Thresh and people will still play him even if he's nerfed. Next patch's E's cooldown is going up from 11 to 9 seconds to 13 to 10 seconds. That is a pretty big nerf, especially early on, and his kill pressure is definitely going down. Blitzcrank, on the other hand, the grabbing hand, is receiving a buff. It really shows that Blitzcrank is part of the original cast of champions. He's pretty simple. Compare him to Thresh and it makes plenty of sense why he's not nearly as popular. However, next patch is going to be a completely different story. Blitzcrank is unironically receiving a massive buff. His armor is going up from 37 to 40, while his Q's damage is going up from 70 to 270 plus 100% AP to 90 to 290 plus 120% AP. I'm down to troll with some friends and play some AP Blitzcrank in a kill lane. I mean, that is a huge buff to his Q, and honestly, Blitzcrank would be still a decent champion if that was his only ability. Finally, Rel is up for a small buff. Her W's cooldown is going down from 13 to 11. This should give her back some strength where she lost it after some massive nerfs that she previously received. Compared to other melee supports, she's been underperforming, and buffs are always welcome. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out the description for a link to join our Discord. You can meet new friends or just be the first ones to know about any future giveaways that we hold. Anyway, with all that being said, as usual, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.